I was very happy to see my books Hindi translation and also visiting India. India is a key country today, and in my historical analysis, India play a central role in Muslims' golden age, especially between 8th and 12th centuries. Islamic civilization, when it was open-minded, it accept diversity, it flourish and produce cutting-edge philosophers, mathematicians, polymaths for centuries. Sufism is a mystical element of Islam, has been also influenced by Indian culture. It was an important moment for me spiritually and understanding the hospitality of Indians. So Indian food is my favorite cuisine. Wherever I go, in the US, in Germany, in other parts of Europe, I always prefer to eat Indian food. Though we make lassi in Turkey salty, you have different sweet elements of lassi, and of course variety of chicken. So in terms of ethnic and religious diversity, it is very difficult to find a more diverse and complex country than India.
Today we are honored to have with us Dr. Ahmet T, a well-known scholar in political science and the director of the Center for Islamic and Arabic Studies at San Diego State University. He has made important contributions to the study of Islam, governance, and history through his writing. Recently, Dr. Kuru visited India for the launch of Hindi edition of one of his books at the New Delhi World Book Fair 2025. During his visit, he explored India's rich history and culture and visited famous landmarks. Today, we will talk about his experience in India, the warm welcome he received, and why making his books available in Hindi is important. Dr. Ahmed T. Kuru, welcome to DNN24. Sir, how did it feel to visit India? Was this your first visit? And what were your expectations before coming?
So I'm visiting every country where my Islam book has been published in translation, and the title Islam, Authoritarianism and Underdevelopment, a Global and Historical Comparison. So far, in both in the Muslim countries in Asia and North Africa and European countries, I have the chance to meet intellectuals, publishers, and the audience from Indonesia, Malaysia to Morocco and Iran and France, Belgium, Austria. In several languages, the book has been published in total of 15 languages. And I was still looking for the Hindi translation because India is a key country today. And in my historical analysis, India play a central role in Muslims' golden age, especially between 8th and 12th centuries. How Muslims learn mathematics from India and taught the numbers to Europeans, and then algorithm, algebra, everything, the Indian civilization, Muslim Arab civilization, and their connection is key in my historical analysis. Therefore, I was very happy to see my books Hindi translation and also visiting India, both New Delhi and then visiting Taj Mahal. Everything, my first visit was wonderful in India, and especially the hospitality of Dr. Hafizur Rahman, the CEO of the Khusro Foundation, and both DNN Media and Awaz the Voice Media and the interviews they publish help my access to Indian readers during my visit.
I saw your social media that you visit many historical places in India like Humayun Tomb, Jama Masjid, Nizamuddin Dargah and Lodi Gardens. Which place did you find the most special and why? What you observed?
You're right, I share my experiences with my social media followers. They became very excited because everybody knows Taj Mahal as one of the wonders of the world. I visited it and it's architecturally beautiful and historically significant. But of course, India has more than Taj Mahal. So, in terms of architecture, the Humayun tomb was very important to understand the origin of the Taj Mahal architecture. Then the Lodi Gardens, they taught me the pre-Mughal history of India a little bit. Then, of course, as a Muslim myself, Jama Masjid was very spiritually important. Then I was very honored in Nizamuddin Dargah by the hospitality of the Imam there because Sufism is essential. I was born in Turkey where Sufism is an important element of Muslims' understanding of worldviews. And Sufism is a mystical element of Islam, has been also influenced by Indian culture. That's how we learn certain spirituality and great Sufis like Imam Rabbani, who not only influential in his homeland India but also in Turkey. That's why Nizamuddin Dargah was important for me. But I also saw some monuments of modern India, like Delhi Gate, where I understand that India has more founding fathers than Gandhi and Nehru, but Bose and others. And then these monuments also help me to understand modern Indian state building.
You mentioned being touched by the hospitality at Nizamuddin Dargah when the Imam placed a cover on your head as a turban. Could you share more about that experiences and what it meant to you?
Yeah, in the Nizamuddin Dargah, as you said, Imam took the cover off the grave and then make a turban for me, and it was an important moment for me spiritually and understanding the hospitality of Indians. And it's a great culture. And now my publisher gave me the good news that they are planning the Urdu translation of my book. So then both Hindi and Urdu translations will access to the readers in India. And in the Nizamuddin Dargah, I saw a spiritual environment shared by both Muslims and some other non-Muslims coming to see the mystic history of India there.
You had discussions with prominent scholars like Rajiv Bhargav and Sayyid Irfan Habib. What insight did you gain from these conversations?
So India is very important culturally. And then these Amir Khan movies are a cultural element in America. But India is also important for social scientific literature. So my first book was on secularism. I compare secularism in the United States, France, and Turkey. And one of my sources of inspiration was the great Indian scholar of secularism, Rajiv Bhargava. That's why it was important for me to visit him and talk to him about the importance of democracy, the secular state, which is in crisis here in the United States, in Turkey, in the Middle East, everywhere. And then Irfan Habib, we talk about the history of India and Mevlana Azad and other Muslim founders who contribute education in India and the Muslim integration during the state building era, and how Azad was a friend of Nehru and Gandhi. And then that was intellectually really deep discussions we had.
How did the students at MSU respond to your talk on Islam and democracy?
The students had many questions and they tried to understand how Muslim culture and Muslim tradition become compatible with modern democracy, modern secular state, and why in the Middle East many countries have the difficulty to integrate Islamic values and principles with modern state and democratic systems and institutions. Today, there is a big, very deep debate in America about the future of democracy. Saudi Arabia, Iran, everywhere there are debates going on, and Muslim student organizations, students in Delhi ask me all of fascinating questions about the history of Islam and the current crisis of democracy worldwide.
Your book's Hindi edition was launched at the World Book Fair. What were some of the most interesting reactions to your book from Indian readers?
So during the book fair, we had the lunch with Mr. Dawal and Mr. Akbar also gave important speeches, and there are many interesting reactions. One, of course, the people are asking how my book is relevant to India, and then I explain them the historical dimension, but also putting the question of democracy in the global stage and how Muslim minority in India may make contributions to Indian democracy as equal citizens, because I gave the example of myself. I am a Muslim in America. I have duties to the society, but I also expect equal rights as a citizen. So that's what I emphasize in my speech, the importance of citizenship for minorities to contribute to society and expect equal rights. And that's one of the important elements of our discussion during the book launch.
How do you think the Hindi edition of these books will contribute to intellectual discussions in India?
So Islam has been a subject of discussions since at least 9/11, September 11, 2001 attack in America. There is a big debate because after the attacks, United States occupy Iraq and Afghanistan. Now, in many countries, there are Islamists, and the non-Muslim people are asking whether all Muslims support Islamist groups. In my book, I'm showing that Islam has a long history of religion-state separation. Islamic civilization, when it was open-minded, it accept diversity, it flourish and produce cutting-edge philosophers, mathematicians, polymaths for centuries. And today, we have the problem of religious fanaticism in many countries. In Europe, it is growing, in Israel, in the US, so not only in the Muslim world, but globally. What I am trying to promote is mutual understanding and respect to diversity, which will be really a win-win game for both Muslim societies and non-Muslim societies.
You had your farewell dinner at Karim's and called it the best Indian food you have ever had. What did you enjoy the most about the meal?
So Indian food is my favorite cuisine. Wherever I go, in the US, in Germany, in other parts of Europe, I always prefer to eat Indian food. And I made the joke in my last dinner with the organizers of my book event that this is the best Indian food I have ever tasted in Karim of the Islamic Culture Center of India, and they laughed because this is India. It's not surprising that you have the best Indian food here.
Were there any other Indian dishes or flavor that left a lasting impressions on you?
So many things I can say. Lassi is a yogurt drink, and in Turkey it's called ayran. Therefore, I find the similarity. Though we make lassi in Turkey salty, you have different sweet elements of lassi, and of course, variety of chicken.
How do you compare India's historical and cultural richness with other places you have visited?
So, in terms of ethnic and religious diversity, it is very difficult to find a more diverse and complex country than India. And the challenge for America now is how to build a multiracial democracy. And India now is also facing this challenge. To what extent democratic institutions will reflect the social diversity, how the state and society manage. The most fascinating dimension of India is that it's a big country with perhaps hundreds of ethnic, linguistic, and religious groups. And to bring together these diverse people in a democratic setting is a big challenge.
What message would you like to give to Indian readers and scholars who engage with your work?
My main message maybe would be to tell them that give us hope for the future of the world. Right now, the world is a very pessimistic place. After the election of Donald Trump in America, at least half of society became very pessimistic because they voted other candidates. In Europe, there is a very deep pessimism for the future. Uh, Immigration, many people regard as a crisis. Right-wing governments are coming. And if India produce a model showing us that democracy with a population of larger than 1 billion people, with 200 million Muslim minority, a secular state in India, a democracy in India work, then that will give all of us in the world hope for the future of world politics.
Would you like to visit India again? If so, is there anything specific you would like to explore next time?
Definitely, I would like to come to see the hospitality of my friends and the intellectual debate with the scholars. Maybe Chennai in the more coastal area, or Calcutta, maybe Calcutta Book Fair next time. And I definitely want to keep in touch with Indian intellectuals and scholars.
During your visit to India, you must have encountered various regional cultures and traditions. How do you think these cultural differences contribute to overall unity of the country?
Idea of homogeneity is a dangerous idea. Today in the United States, some people are afraid of losing homogeneity. They say they were the good old days when the white people, Christian, they were the hegemony. But they miss the point that immigrants are bringing many things to this country. Minorities bring diversity and dynamism. And the Jewish intellectuals, for example, are key for American academia. And historically, in England, Enlightenment was motivated by Scottish intellectuals. So, in America today, Indian minority has important jobs like Microsoft CEO, and the vice president's wife is from originally India. So the diversity contributes to America. So in India too, it's a diverse country. Muslims and other minorities can help their intellectual life, academic life. That's how we flourish. So in any country, we should always be celebrating diversity and avoid the idea of homogenizing society.
In your travels, did you observe any particular examples where religious diversity was celebrated or supported in a unique way?
The book fair was good in terms of having Hindi, Urdu, English, and multiple other languages. And historically rich country, the monuments show us. But I didn't have a chance really to experience more because I only spent 5 days in India. But looking forward to learn more visiting again India to understand its diversity.
And my last question, what message do you think the world can learn from India's ability to embrace diversity while maintaining unity?
So It itself shows that over 1 billion people can live together with a promising economy, with a democratic system, with a secular constitution, and the world's largest Muslim population after Indonesia, maybe equal to Pakistan. So therefore, India is a major case. And a political stability in India will mean very important messages for world politics.
Okay, so here we are wrapping up this conversation. Thank you for sharing your wonderful experiences and insight with us today. It's truly inspiring to hear about your journey, your book's impact, and the connections you made during your time in India. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Sabur Ali, and thank you to DNN.